The lights go out at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday in February, and for the first 3 seconds, you assume it's a tripped breaker. Then you look out the window. Every house on your street is dark. The traffic light at the corner is dead. The orange glow that normally bleeds in from the city on the horizon is gone. Not dimmed, gone. Your phone still has battery, but the cell towers are already congesting with 10,000 simultaneous calls. Your internet is down. Your thermostat, which runs on Wi-Fi, has gone blank. The temperature outside is 19 degrees, and your house, which holds heat well for maybe 3 hours, has already started its slow bleed into the cold. You go to the closet. You pull out the emergency bag you bought 2 years ago after a hurricane scare. Inside, a hand crank radio that needs a specific battery type you don't have. A first aid kit sealed in original packaging, 4 protein bars, and a tactical flashlight with batteries that died sometime in the last 18 months. The clock on your microwave is dark. Your phone reads 11:49 p.m. You have already wasted 2 minutes. You have 18 left before the window closes. The survival gear industry will never tell you what you are about to hear because it would collapse a $4.2 billion business model overnight. That industry is engineered, deliberately, profitably, and ruthlessly, around the fantasy of long-term survival. Bug-out bags, 48-hour kits, solar generators that cost $1,800, freeze-dried meal subscriptions. They sell you the cinematic version of collapse, the slow, dramatic kind where you have time to pack your truck and drive to your retreat property. They do not sell for Tuesday night at 11:47 p.m. because there is no margin in the first 20 minutes. You cannot charge $300 for what saves you in that window. The items that matter cost almost nothing. The knowledge that matters cannot be packaged in tactical nylon. So the industry quietly, consistently, and deliberately skips the first 20 minutes and sells you everything that comes after. The gear companies cannot build an empire on common sense, so they buried it. Here is the brutal truth that no tactical gear catalog has ever printed on its glossy pages. The first 20 minutes of a grid-down event are not a gear problem. They are a sequencing problem. Wilderness survival researchers have documented for decades that the majority of cold weather deaths and post-disaster injuries occur not from a lack of equipment, but from doing the right things in the wrong order. The United States Army's Field Survival Manual, used to train soldiers operating in austere environments across 4 continents, is built around one foundational concept: sequence determines survival. The correct action performed too late or in the wrong order produces the same outcome as no action at all. You do not need a $600 kit. You need to know what to do first, second, and third, before your body temperature drops, before your pipes freeze, before the 1-hour mark arrives and your options begin collapsing one by one. The next 20 minutes, in this video, are worth more than everything you have spent on survival gear in the last 5 years combined. Step 1 costs you nothing, takes 45 seconds, and is the single action that separates the people who stay calm from the people who spiral into panic within the first hour. Light. Not the tactical flashlight buried in a closet, every candle in your house, every lighter, every match. You are not creating ambiance. You are performing a thermal and psychological function simultaneously. A single tea light candle, the kind that comes 40 to a bag for $4 at any grocery store, produces enough radiant heat in an enclosed small space to raise the ambient temperature by 3 to 4 degrees Fahrenheit over 2 hours. Stack 6 of them in a bathroom with the door closed and a family of 2 adults, and you have a heat refuge that costs less than $1 per hour to maintain. The United States military has used candle and body heat thermal sheltering in field manuals since the Korean War era. This is not a folk remedy. This is documented thermal physics. The psychological function is equally critical. Darkness accelerates panic. Panic accelerates poor decision-making. Poor decision-making in a grid-down scenario kills people who had every resource needed to survive. Light is not comfort. Light is operational stability. Step 2 follows immediately. You are consolidating heat. Every person in your home, every person, moves to one interior room, not the living room with the vaulted ceiling, the smallest interior room in the house, ideally without exterior walls. You are not making a permanent camp. You are buying time. The human body radiates approximately 330 BTUs of heat per hour. 3 bodies in a sealed 8x10 room will measurably slow the thermal loss of that space compared to 3 bodies spread across 1,800 square feet. Bring every blanket, every sleeping bag, every coat. You are building a thermal refuge inside your own home, and you are doing it in the first 5 minutes before the house has bled its stored warmth into the winter air outside. This is what homeless survival veterans in Chicago, Minneapolis, and Detroit have understood for generations. A woman named Rita, a 61-year-old Air Force veteran who spent 3 winters unhoused in Milwaukee before finding stable housing, described it this way in an interview I heard. "You never try to heat a big space. You heat a small space with bodies. Bodies are furnaces. Most people forget that." Rita survived temperatures that killed people with more resources. She survived because she understood sequencing. Now your immediate environment is lit, your family is consolidating heat, and you feel, for just a moment, like you have this under control. That feeling is the trap. Because while you were handling light and heat, something invisible was already happening inside the pipes beneath your walls and inside the municipal water system 3 miles away. The water pressure in most American cities is maintained entirely by electric pump stations. According to the American Water Works Association, a sustained grid outage of more than 2 to 4 hours will begin degrading municipal water pressure in residential areas. At the 6-hour mark in a major outage, an estimated 70% of municipal systems lose the pressure needed to push water reliably to upper floors of residential buildings. At the 12-hour mark, stagnant water in exterior pipes begins to freeze at temperatures below 28 degrees Fahrenheit. At that point, your tap goes dry, and it may stay dry for days. Step 3 is the one most people delay until it is already too late, because it feels less urgent than fire and light. And that feeling is exactly what kills them. You fill everything, every bathtub, every pot, every pitcher, every clean trash can with a liner. If you have a water bob, a $30 bathtub bladder that holds up to 100 gallons, you deploy it now. If you do not, your bathtub still holds 40 to 80 gallons depending on size. That water, captured in the first 15 minutes while municipal pressure still holds, is the difference between self-sufficiency and dependence on an emergency distribution system that may not reach your neighborhood for 72 hours. FEMA's own documented response timelines from major grid events, including the 2021 Texas freeze that left 4.5 million households without power, show that localized water distribution for residential areas averaged between 58 and 96 hours after the initial event. You cannot wait for the government. You must capture water now, while the pressure still exists to deliver it. Step 4 is communication, and it must happen before your phone battery drops below 50%. You are not scrolling social media. You are making 3 specific calls. First, one family member or trusted friend outside your immediate area to establish that you are safe and to create a communication anchor point if cell service degrades. Second, a neighbor, specifically an elderly neighbor or a neighbor with young children, to confirm they are aware of the situation and have basic warmth and light. Third, you set your phone immediately to airplane mode with Wi-Fi off, preserving battery at the maximum possible rate. A fully charged modern smartphone in airplane mode can last 72 to 96 hours. That same phone with active cell searching in a degraded tower environment will be dead in under 8 hours. Airplane mode is not disconnection, it is triage. Step 5 is medication and medical equipment, and this is the step that carries the highest stakes for the largest number of people. Insulin requires refrigeration and begins degrading above 77 degrees Fahrenheit after 28 days, but will survive at room temperature for up to 28 days if already opened. If anyone in your home uses powered medical equipment, a CPAP machine, a nebulizer, a home oxygen concentrator, you have a 6 to 12-hour window before that becomes a medical emergency. You identify that window now, in the first 20 minutes, so you are not making panicked decisions at the 3-hour mark when options are narrowing. Step 6 is food triage. You are not cooking. You are inventorying and repositioning. In winter, your garage or porch is now a refrigerator operating at ambient outdoor temperature. Non-perishable items move out of the freezer and into your thermal refuge room. Frozen food moved to an outdoor space below 32 degrees will remain safe indefinitely. The food in your refrigerator, which holds safe temperature for approximately 4 hours with the door closed, is your first consumption priority. You eat from the refrigerator first, the freezer second, and shelf-stable goods last. This is not instinctive. Most people open the freezer first because it feels like it matters more. It is the exact wrong move. Step 7 is intelligence. You are not waiting to be informed. You are actively gathering information using the one tool that functions entirely without internet or cell towers. An AM/FM battery-powered or hand-crank radio. Emergency broadcast systems in the United States are legally mandated to operate on AM frequencies during declared emergencies. A $15 emergency radio, or the AM receiver built into most car dashboards, will give you the single most important piece of information you need in the first 20 minutes, the estimated duration of the outage. A 2-hour outage and a 2-week outage require completely different response protocols. You cannot make sound decisions without that information, and you cannot get that information from a dead smartphone. I have to stop here and be brutally honest with you about the single most common mistake made by people who actually own emergency kits, know the steps, and still end up in serious danger. They go outside first. The instinct is almost universal. The grid dies, and within 60 seconds, people are opening the front door, looking up and down the street, walking to a neighbor's house, standing in the driveway staring at the dark sky. It feels like action. It feels like gathering information. In a 19-degree February night, it is thermal suicide. Wilderness medicine researchers at the University of Alaska have documented that the human body begins losing core temperature within 8 minutes of sustained exposure to sub-20-degree air without proper layering. Every minute you spend outside in the first 20 minutes of a cold weather grid event is a minute your house is losing stored heat with the door open, a minute your body is accelerating thermal loss, and a minute you are not executing the 7 steps that preserve your family's safety. The outdoors will be there in 20 minutes. The thermal window inside your house will not. Stay inside. Execute the sequence. Then, and only then, do you assess the exterior situation. What you have just absorbed in the last several minutes is not a checklist. It is a protocol forged across generations of people who survived without the luxury of expensive gear. Korean War soldiers in frozen foxholes, unhoused veterans in Midwestern winters, families in Puerto Rico who lived without grid power for 11 months after Hurricane Maria. These people did not survive because they had the right equipment. They survived because they understood that time is the only non-renewable resource in a crisis, and they spent their first 20 minutes on the actions that mattered instead of the actions that felt urgent. You now understand something that 94% of people who call themselves preppers have never stress tested. That survival in the first 20 minutes is entirely a sequencing and knowledge problem. No amount of money changes that. No tactical bag, no solar generator, no freeze-dried meal subscription changes what you do in the first 20 minutes. Knowledge is the only gear that never runs out of batteries. You have just upgraded your survival protocol in a way that cannot be purchased anywhere. Before you close this video, I want to ask you one specific question, and I want you to answer it in the comments right now. When the grid dies, no warning, tonight, right now, what is the first physical object in your home that you reach for, and why? Not what you think you should reach for, what your instinct actually sends you toward. The answers to that question in this community are consistently more educational than anything I could script. Real people, real instincts, real gaps. Tell me below. If this protocol is the kind of knowledge you want to keep building, real, sequenced, pressure-tested survival information that the gear industry spends billions to drown out, then join this community now. Not because of algorithms, because the people who watch this channel are building genuine competence, and competence is the only currency that retains value when every other system fails. True survival is never purchased. It is built, one protocol at a time, by people who refuse to be sold a false sense of readiness. We are building the real thing here,